sure you get it.
Welcome to Owen and Beru's BBQ. Today we're cooking up something special for you. We have a little bit of Ewok mystery meat. Hopefully you'll take a sampling of this barbecued shish kebab of, well...
It's people!
You figure out what it is. Today, I am Matt, as always, but today I am joined by, once again, by one of the main co-hosts of this show, Nick.
Yay!
Unfortunately, Chris, he's under the baby bug, so he's under baby bug watch. So we were really hoping he could make it for this one, and you never know. Maybe we'll have a mystery guest show up with some Ewok meat later. So fingers crossed on that. Perhaps Emperor Palpatine will cackle, and it'll finish off the show. I don't know what kind of laugh that was.
I don't know.
It's hard to do his voice, right?
Well, yeah, I have to be kind of in the mood.
Yeah.
I used to always like to do that to my sister. Now you are mine. Something like that. You have to do the mouth exactly right.
Yeah, I mean, he's got one of those mouths that looks like he's been smoking for 50 years.
It's crazy too, because if you watch, which I always liked watching Dirty Rotten Scoundrels as a kid. They came out in 87, I think.
Sounds about right.
Steve Martin,
yeah.
He's the butler in that movie.
Oh, huh. I never realized that.
Yeah. He only has a few lines in it, but it's when Steve Martin puts on the military uniform for the first time, and he's in the back of the car. He's being crippled, and then he shows up, and he just leaves him in the car. Michael Caine does, and then the butler walks out, and he's like, "Welcome to hell." Yeah, and the way that he says it, that's the only time you can actually kind of hear the little bit of the Emperor in that voice. Because the rest of the time he just does a normal British accent. Because you're like, hey, there's the Emperor.
Since we're talking about the Emperor, we and there's good reason why we're talking about the Emperor. And this is officially our part 2. If you listen to part 1 of the Rise of Skywalker teaser trailer reactions. I mean, this is how desperate we are to talk about Star Wars. We
two-part of a trailer.
Two-part of a trailer. Although, fair enough, though. I mean, this is a week after Celebration, so we can really kind of, dive into a few other things that occurred during Celebration.
I really did. Yeah, I really did like part 1, though. It was nice. I listened to it today while I was in LA traffic, which is, they easily can sit there for an hour, so I got time to kill a podcast. But yeah, it's funny because I kept just listening to the joy of your kids' voices, and I don't know why, but the quote that popped in my mind probably around minute 20 or something that was really joyful in their voice, and I kind of, I'm going to butcher this, but it was truly wonderful, the mind of a child. That's what I was I don't know why, but it just popped. Because you could just see how happy they were to or hear it,
Well,
things they liked.
Yeah, they were, and they were really excited, I think, to be on a podcast because they have certain podcasts that they listen to, so they know what a podcast is. They know I podcast, so it was something fun for us to share together.
Well, it's also neat because it's a time capsule. Something that all the ones we've done, and and who's to say in 15 years, they could go back and go I can't believe I said that, or I can't believe I said this was my favorite character because it's totally this character now, or.
Oh yeah, totally. My son and my daughter, they, I actually thought that would be a good way of kind of introducing them to the listeners, is so that they kind of know, what my kids think of the Star Wars, universe and who they are drawn to, who they like. I mean, my son has been a big Poe fan, and Poe's okay in my book. I mean, I'm kind of
yeah, because I don't have anything against Poe. It's just it's one of those characters that I knew originally was supposed to be Wedge from the very beginning, and so I felt with Force Awakens, he was good. When he was actually the Wedge character, what was supposed to be Wedge, and then when he came later on in the Force Awakens, it felt a little forced and out of place. because I don't think they knew what to do with the character. And then Last Jedi, I felt they hit his character a little too hard over the head with the whole mutiny aspect of it. Because like to me, it's like, I know you're in the resistance and not really a true military establishment, but the fact that he kept pushing this, you're not telling me, you're not, and all that is like, dude, I was like, you can be court-martialed for this. I was like, if you're in a true military thing, they're going to put him in the brig and lock him away, which is what they were going to do. So I don't know. It's just funny because I thought it was a bit over the top when what they went with his route, but who cares? But yeah, man, of all the new characters, I use the one I find the most appealing for sure.
Well, we've also read the comic books. There's the Poe Dameron comic book, which was about 2 years long, worth of stories. It seems like a little bit more than that because there's like 30 some issues, I think, or I could be wrong on that. But there was a lot of issues and some good stuff in there. It ends actually tying and connecting the events of The Force Awakens to The Last Jedi. So there's some nice kind of also post. I mean, it is actually legitimately like the most post Last Jedi stories that you can get is them on the Falcon after all of the events of The Last Jedi talking and kind of catching up, Finn, Rey, and Poe. So worth checking those out if you're a comic book fan. If not, no big deal. But it is. And then my daughter, of course, her favorite. I mean, she's drawn to the female characters, but what's
makes sense. Yeah.
What's funny though is Ahsoka being one of her favorites.
I mean, I like Ahsoka. I've met the actress that voices her many times. She's a great person. I like Ahsoka. My favorite character. I think you've probably heard us say this before, and it's strange, but my favorite character of all the Star Wars universe is Asajj Ventress. I've always loved Ventress, and the first time I saw just a drawing of her, I was like, that's a cool looking character. And I always liked the fact that it's the same as like people like Boba Fett. Like they're kind of on their own, because Asajj is not a Sith. She's not a Jedi, even though she has aspects of both. She's just her own rebellious person who doesn't care. And I always liked that about Asajj. And she's damaged, but yet has flaw. I mean, she has, that there's something in there that makes her want to do the right thing, even though it's very like, I don't want to do the right thing. So I just I like the conflict within her character. It's kind of like what I wanted for Vader in a way. And like, you never saw because he's in a mask, you're not getting any emotions out of it, but you can see the conflict within her and the revenge that she wants. So I don't know. I just always liked Ventress.
Sure. I mean, there's different characters that we're drawn to. What is kind of, I guess, worth noting for those that did listen to part one, is that my daughter came to like Ahsoka through Rebels. So, as opposed to Clone Wars, she was more introduced to Ahsoka through Rebels and through kind of a handful of Clone Wars. It's like we haven't watched all, every single episode of the seasons. We've watched here and there. I've seen every episode, of course, but and they just took it recently off of Netflix in preparation for Disney Plus. So,
it's funny because I remember when the Clone Wars movie came out in 2008, and so many people did not like Ahsoka because she was, she was young. I mean, she's a very young Padawan at that point. I think they found actually the whole movie fairly annoying. I didn't think it was that great, but I liked it. I didn't crap on it like I normally do. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely some points taken with the whole Sky Guy or thing, and then no one liked Zero the Hutt,
sure,
and then the whole Smelly the Hutt, the little kid. Like they kind of thought it was a bit kiddish, which it's a cartoon,
right? Well, and there's always ways in which Star Wars is always trying to include kids into the stories, even when it's surrounding war. And I know when my daughter was much younger, it was harder for her to get into Clone Wars because she found it a lot more scary and kind of off-putting with Grievous. She just was kind of like, it just it just was, and there are some dark episodes in Clone Wars, mind you.
Oh yeah.
So
I tend to like those though.
Yeah. And I mean, there's some really good sci-fi like storylines that they cover in there. I mean, they do everything, it seems like, from Aliens to Predator. Like they cover some classic kind of sci-fi tropes, even within the universe. But anyway, we're actually here to talk about the Rise of Skywalker trailer. And maybe before we jump into that, we can talk a little bit about the Clone Wars trailer.
Oh, you want to talk about that first? Okay.
Sure. Yeah. Let's go ahead and talk about that first.
Sure. I mean, I was at, as I sent it to you guys, I was at Comic-Con during the Clone Wars. Well, it was the Clone Wars reunion panel, which everyone was kind of hoping something would happen. And sure enough, at the end, it's when they announced that the Clone Wars was coming back, and they sent us. It was just, it wasn't really a trailer; it was just a line of helmets and explosions with a few extra little scenes. And at first, you don't realize it's coming back because you're seeing stuff you've already seen, and at the very end, you start saying like, we brought it back, blah, blah, blah. You're like, oh my god, So this is the first trailer we've actually seen of the new Clone Wars, and I'm assuming they're going to keep to what they originally told us at Comic-Con, that it's only going to be about 12 episodes. But from what I saw in the trailer, it looked more like this could be actually a full season maybe, or they might just continue on with it because with Ahsoka now kind of not really rejoining the Jedi Order, but I don't know if you want to get into it. But it looked from the trailer that she comes back, she's on good terms with Anakin, and this is where she gets her new lightsabers, and she's getting her own division or squad of clone troopers. And you're like, well, how is this possible? Because this is going to be a whole new territory for her to explore that would require more than just 4 episodes.
Yeah, well, and it looked like, we're seeing kind of her post leaving the Jedi Order and going into the underworld, and I'm trying to think of the trailer. There's several beats in the trailer,
right? So it starts off with a few little scenes of just a setup, I think, for viewers that might know. Like it was just showing where we last saw Ahsoka in the actual Clone Wars series, which was just her refusing her Padawan braid from Anakin, saying I'm not coming back. And he's telling her it's a mistake, and she's like, well, that's up for me to figure out. And then it goes into exactly her living in the underworld of Coruscant, which I wonder if they got this storyline from that video game that they were hinting at for such a long time that never got made. Yeah. It was supposed to be about the underworld of Coruscant.
It wasn't it called was that the 1313?
That's it. Yeah. 13 something. Yeah. I don't remember. Yeah. But it's like that. And it was like, I wonder if they took that well, this is an area we never really got to explore, but we wanted to. So let's try to incorporate this into a couple of storylines here, because I'm sure it was a well-established story if they're going to go far and make a video game out of it. And then you see this introduction of Experimental Force 99, which looks like they almost look like mutants.
Definitely a hodgepodge. This is the X team.
Yeah. So. But they looked pretty cool. They had some cool helmet designs and just random things that looked pretty interesting. And then that's where you see Ahsoka getting her own squad of the clone troopers. And I thought that was neat too, because most of them have just been, blue or red or orange or whatever. But this one actually keeps dropping in and out. Keeps having the helmets are now painted to look like the way her skin is painted on her head. So it's very much an homage to her, I guess, as being a great general, or what she will be, a general or commander now.
Sorry.
There's more to it, but yeah, I don't want to just recap the whole thing for you.
No. One thing that I didn't put together, I'd seen the helmet. We keep having
we have a guest. We have a guest star that keeps popping in and out, so we're laughing at the difficulties. But yeah, I really the helmet I thought was really cool. But it posed a question though to me when the next thing you see is Anakin and her talking, and it's clearly after this, and he's presenting her with these 2 lightsabers, which in the rebels are white, which saying she has no affiliation with anything. But in this one, they're blue.
Right.
So you're kind of like, okay. And I thought that was odd too, that he gave her lightsabers when it's always been, the tradition to make your own lightsabers.
Well, so the white lightsabers were established in the book that was released, Ahsoka, where she actually heals 2 crystals. It's kind of slight spoilers for the end of that book, which my daughter actually read and I have not, but she broke it down for me, and it's a really cool part because, and I've always wanted to go back through and read that, but these crystals are calling to her, and she basically like pulls them out, and then she has to heal them. So, anyway, that's weird. So, can't seem to get our extra guest on here. We keep. Sorry, I don't mean to be a little bit scatterbrained on this, but we do have a guest that's trying to pop in, so and having some technical difficulties. But anyway, without us stopping this podcast and starting anew, so. So I'm just wondering if the lightsabers themselves, these blue ones, will either be destroyed or lost at some point or taken away. Maybe this is only given to her for a mission. I mean, it seems kind of odd, but but at least to go back to the footnote of the novel, though, but she does heal 2 red crystals, which is why they are white. And that's what makes them very unique. To at least highlight the end of that trailer. So the moment with Darth Maul, and I guess that's the point of the celebration is that they're always going to bring out like a dark side person to make us get the chills. All right, so Darth Maul appears. That's really awesome. I don't know how they're going to top what I think is one of my favorite lightsabers battles with Ahsoka and Vader. Oh yeah, but I think we can top this moment because we do have a special guest who's finally here. I would like to introduce Jay, the one and only, into the fray here.
Hello. How's it going?
Good.
Great.
Thank you for having me on. Thank you, Boston's daughter, for getting lice. And leaving an opening in which I could weasel my way in.
Oh man, I feel so bad for Chris because that is the worst as a parent. Like, I mean, you go through everything in your entire house, like cleaning it.
Oh yeah. And
then his wife's pregnant, so you add pregnancy to lice paranoia. Oh my gosh, that's a cocktail not worth having.
Yeah. I've never, because both my sisters got lice once upon a time. I did not, because at the time I remember like LA Looks hair gel. Do you remember like thick hair gel?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was like caked on, so like nothing could penetrate my spiked hair at the time. So I didn't get it, but yeah, it was a tumultuous time. But I've seen like and I said this in the thing, but like if you do peanut butter, you put peanut butter in their hair and it like suffocates the lice, and it's a very like organic, non-toxic way to get rid of them.
Interesting. Well,
chunky or smooth?
I don't know if it makes a difference, but I seen it. I seen it on The Office, so if it's on The Office, it's got to be true, right?
Oh, of course.
You've heard the story where that person saved somebody because they did the staying alive beat that they learned from The Office. So really, a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff to learn there.
So what was I? Did I come into a discussion about Clone Wars Part 2?
Yeah, we started with the Clone Wars trailer.
I was trying to stretch out the Clone Wars talk so that you could be here for the main course, Jay.
We're going to talk about the Mandalorian too, though, right? Because that looks awesome.
We can talk about the Mandalorian next if you would like to, or
it's your show. I'm just
it's Well, today we're serving up Ewok mystery meat, which is very fitting because it was a mystery whether or not you'd be able to show, and I just keep rolling out these different trailers to talk about. We kind of skimmed over the Clone Wars, but we hit some major highlights from it, and I think we're all excited for Disney Plus.
Yes. $6.99, $670 for the year. I'm in.
And they're also introducing, and I think we can go ahead and talk about The Mandalorian. I mean, that's they're going to start off. And from what I hear, they're also going to do it right. Like, they're not going to do a binge session. Like, they might release only 2 episodes at a time or something like that.
And I hear like practical effects as well.
Yep.
Like models.
They used models. Yep.
Well, it may still make sense though, Matt, from a business standpoint, that they probably don't have a lot of original content to go for. So they're like, let's just put 2 episodes out now, then 2 later. That way they have to keep the subscription instead of just binging it one month.
But I like the idea of like the guest directors, like each episode has a different director and they're like big name directors, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because you know that they each is, if you do it that way, each director will like, my episode is going to be the best episode. They're going to go in there like wanting to be like, man, did you see that episode? Like, oh, wow,
And you know, it's kind of like, because I know Apple Plus unveiled their thing and all these new content that they have, but it's like I didn't give 2 craps about any of that. But like The Mandalorian alone is like, I'm in. $6.99 a month, count me in.
Well, and if you think about the way Netflix started out, they had a lot of not original content at a very reasonable price, and you could watch. I mean, a lot of these shows at your whim. They're going to open the entire Disney vault. They've got all the Star Wars movies. They've got all the Marvel movies. Now they've got The Simpsons that's going to be on there as well.
Yep.
I mean, you know, I don't know. I mean, they've got a lot
bow down to our Disney overlords.
Shut up and take my money.
Nick, I'm bummed for Game of Thrones, and this ties in. George Lucas was on set and kind of gave some directorial advice for episode 1 of season 8.
Yeah, like that. I've gotten a lot of. I forget which thread I saw that on. I'm like the second person to ever comment on it. I was like, I thought the dragon flying scene looked a lot like the trench run. I mean, it makes total sense. They're sitting there like in the canyon, going down. Stay on target. John, you're too close.
He's got to shoot out a plasma fireball to blow up the White Walkers.
Exactly.
But I love how George Lucas now in this post Last Jedi, post Solo world, and again I like the 2, but I know the Nicks of the world hated it. But I love in this post Last Jedi world, George Lucas, how you like me now? I'm just gonna show up and be cool again.
I mean, he'll always be cool because
of course,
an entire world. I mean, I don't know what I would do. I'm not really starstruck by hardly anybody, but I think if I did see George Lucas, I definitely would just not know what to say. Well, I don't know if I'd get that way. I just would be like, but
Can I show you my drafts of episode 1?
I have some drafts here and some corrections. Would you humor me?
Jar Jar was my favorite character too.
It really was.
He did announce that recently.
He did.
For those that do not know, he kind of threw the gauntlet down and said that Jar Jar.
But is that really just his way of trolling a bunch of people? I feel like it's not. He's not serious.
Yeah, come on. He named Luke practically after his last name. I mean, come on.
So what happens if in Skywalker, whatever, Skywalker Rises,
the Rise of
Skywalker? What happens if when they go into the Death Star, you happen to see Jar Jar just pop out of nowhere and go, Miss, I've been waiting for so long.
Jar Jar Force Ghost appears with Anakin.
God.
Annie.
No. Or no, he shows up with Palpatine Ghost.
Yeah.
That'll be.
Jar Jar was the Phantom Menace. That's the thing. You thought it was Darth Maul the whole time, but no, it was Jar Jar.
Unlimited power. Okay, so the
Mandalorian looks dope.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love the premise.
It's 5 years after Return of the Jedi. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we know that.
Really,
so
yeah.
Have also heard that we might see kind of some of the beginnings of the First Order.
That makes total sense.
Or the origins of the First Order. I don't think that we'll get a lot. It'll be kind of like little nuggets because, clearly there's going to be a season.
See, that'd be cool if it was kind of happening in the background, it's just part of the universe.
It makes total sense if even though it's about, a bounty hunter, you're seeing even in the little small trailers you saw 2 biker scouts on Imperial. It's supposed to be 5 years even after Return of the Jedi. So there's remnants of the Empire still there, and we know that the First Order started from the Empire. Yeah. And even Jon Favreau said this is not within the core; it's out on the edges of the galaxy. So then that's also where the First Order started. It's out, beyond the Republic reach. So it makes total sense to get that. And Dave Filoni is also in there, and I really trust most of Dave Filoni's decisions.
Yeah.
Most.
If I was Jack, my phrase now would be like, Filoni ain't no baloney.
Oh, wow. Coming up with some Jackisms tonight.
Yeah, so I feel like I should represent the old man joke demographic.
Well, he did get a little bitter at us on the last Ramblecast for never having him on the Owen and Brews barbecue.
Well, Jay, next time you come back on the show, you just have to tell that joke again.
Yeah, exactly. That would truly be.
We love you, Jack.
I'll try and work in a few more times in this episode as well.
Yeah. Although he's not listening, so
that's true.
Yeah, there wasn't like an official trailer that was actually released, although there was some fan footage and just a couple live shots and some stills that were thrown out. But I love the fact that it looks straight out of A New Hope meets post Jedi world. I mean, it's looking great.
Yeah. I wanted to have that gritty look to it, and I think from just the few shots we did see, it did seem to have that like Wild West look to it.
Yeah,
it's like they took Boba Fett and they took all of the hype away and said, "Okay, this is not Boba Fett, but we are going to tell you the man with no name, which is what he's based off of,
which is one of the coolest dudes of all time on screen."
Right. So I'm excited. I'm ready to sign up for Disney Plus. So, but the main meat of what we wanted to talk about tonight, though, and we've kind of saved it, is the Rise of Skywalker trailer. So, I haven't talked to you guys officially yet about this. So, your guys' first reactions about seeing this, and
who everyone wants to hear Nick's thoughts. But should we save that for last?
Sure. Okay, Jay, you go first then.
Okay.
Alphabetically.
I'll say, like, I knew Celebration was this weekend. I had some toy dealer friends that were setting up at it, and but in my mind I didn't have any. I was all about Endgame. Like Endgame's coming out. I was excited about that. Just Shazam was out, I think, the weekend before. That was a lot of fun. So like Star Wars was not on my mind. But the second that trailer started and the second the music, it's just I'm a sucker for it. They don't have to do much, but like the seeing the rebuilt Legacy Skywalker saber. And the flipping over the Kylo Ren's TIE fighter and seeing Lando with Chewbacca, that was awesome. And the Palpatine cackle was like, what? Overlooking we assume they're on Yavin, right? Is that the assumption? Because that definitely wasn't Endor.
That's one of my points, Steve, that I think it's Death Star 1 on Yavin 4, because it would be it's too small to be the Death Star 2.
Okay. All right. Now I'm just gonna throw this out here. Okay. We've only seen the forest moon of Endor. And in what world is the whole planet just a forest? I mean, they've got oceans on Endor.
It's called the forest moon.
Okay, but there clearly are some oceans on Endor. I mean, there has to be.
Then they should call it the forest and ocean moon.
Okay, well, I'm just saying that there could be other moons.
You're right.
Okay. And did you see the size of Endor compared to the Death Star? Endor's huge. You're telling me that's a moon of Endor?
I'm just saying for scale. Yeah.
Scale of like the dish. Yeah. Because Death Star 2 is like twice the size of Death Star 1.
I think it's even bigger than twice. It's like 4 or 5 times. It's ridiculously huge.
Okay, but when they show Death Star 2 next to the forest moon of Endor, the forest moon of Endor is gigantic.
Oh, so you're saying Endor is so big it could theoretically have an ocean?
That's what I'm saying. Like the whole planet's not.
But I feel like, and again, maybe it's just me reading a bunch of theories about everything.
Mm-hmm.
But isn't like the theory there's other shots that could have been Yavin as well, or is that just kind of conjecture, like pure conjecture?
Yes, no, there are definitely some other shots that totally look jungle based. Yes,
I like the idea of it being Yavin 4 more than Endor because the history of Yavin is more important, I think, in Star Wars, and also there's histories of Sith temples being on Yavin. There's more stuff to explore there.
Yeah, for sure.
That's all legend stuff now.
It's stuff legends now,
but so you could go back to it. I mean, they have gone back to legend stuff, and yeah, it's like the birthplace of the rebellion. It's like the rebirth of the rebellion. Everything. There's a lot of, I think, to Nick's point, it's better story-wise to be on Yavin. And then you also avoid the whole having an Ewok controversy.
Why can't we have both Yavin and you're telling me that the Ewoks are everywhere? Like, on this planet, kangaroos only exist on one continent, people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so, it's
also no porgs. We haven't seen any porgs, and I feel like everyone kind of dug the porgs, but...
Yeah, there's no porks coming back. It's been several years. Chewie got hungry.
He ate them all. He ate them all. It was a small island,
Space travel gets like lonely. You're just like, I need a snack.
And then it's like, Luke is giving his little, rundown talk over the thing. So it's like, okay, we assume Luke ghosts there. But then it ends with the Rise of Skywalker. And I'm like, huh?
Right.
Okay. And, for me, so the theory I walked away with, and this is probably one of the more, ones that's out there is if it was Return of the Jedi, is this her new, like, moniker for whatever the Force sensitive people are? Is this the new religion, the Skywalker, the new order? That's what I took away from it. But
I hope
well, I mean, why couldn't that be it? The Rise of Skywalker?
Because how you're a bit pompous if it's like, oh, we're getting rid of the whole Jedi thing. You're gonna be called after my last name now. I'm Skywalker.
Well, he's dead, so Rey chose it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean,
or is it because Kylo's technically a Skywalker?
I guess because it's true. I guess because I don't consider the Skywalkers to ever. I mean, aside from Anakin, like I never felt Luke because we haven't seen it on screen, like him actually be an actual Jedi. At the Return of the Jedi, he was not a Jedi until he defeated Vader. So that's what Yoda said. And so, there's a whole trilogy there that we'll never get to see like what he was like as an actual Jedi. So all we have now is him just from Kylo's point of view, him attacking.
Yeah. Well, we've seen him be a Jedi in The Last Jedi. He was a Jedi.
Yes, well, yeah.
Hermit,
he was very hermit and very grumpy and just kind of sitting around and being a smart aleck.
He meditated on a rock and projected himself across the galaxy. You're telling me that that's not Jedi? Come on.
It could have been one planet over. You have no idea.
He is so peaceful in his Jedi-ness. I mean, like, he throws down his lightsaber. That's when he becomes
I kind of see where Nick's coming from, because you did... I think there are the adventures of Jedi Luke that really the extended universe books kind of gave us.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, that's what, again, if Mandalorian is exploring this post-Jedi world, I think you can have a post-Jedi, maybe have another actor be the role of Luke, which I think Solo proved you could have another actor play a character, because I thought most of that stuff worked.
I think eventually we're going to get that. We're going to get a Luke, a younger post Jedi Luke. It has to happen at some point. I mean, Disney's going to milk this. So,
even though they're going to take a break, apparently taking a breather.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know about that. But
I get it. I get trying to like kind of reset a little bit. Even though I dug Solo, like I didn't hate Solo. I think Solo is an unfortunate casualty of them not releasing it in December. I think it would have had better reception. Everybody was a little too close to Jedi.
It was
Last Jedi,
and then we've had such a long spell from Solo that it's like, okay, I don't have Star Wars fatigue because it's been so long. We've all been waiting. Now, everything that everybody else has been waiting for what Nick has to say about this trailer. Nick.
Oh, okay.
What...
I mean, it's a trailer. I like trailers. I mean, I get excited about them as like anyone else. I still remember in 2005 or maybe late 2004 being in the theater and hearing the music come on in a different movie theater for Revenge of the Sith and getting up and running to the other theater just to watch the Revenge of the Sith trailer and then coming back and watching my movie. Oh. That's what they're designed to do, is get you hyped up. I mean, I definitely liked, Rey doing the backflip, I was like, that looks cool. We'll see what happens. I would personally like for her to cut it in half. I think that'd be cool if they did that. Yes. I don't think it'll happen. I think
But why show the flip if she's not going to cut it in half?
If she cuts it in half, and I'd be like, now that's cool, because and then like you see Kylo like flying forward through, flipping through the sand, like what the heck, because that would be.
Or he
cool.
like flip. I guess that would be too Yoda versus Count Dooku, but he flips out with his lightsaber and then
right. I mean, that would
they
be
just
cool
both fly up into the air, Japan style.
Like, Crouching tiger.
Yeah. Now my
okay. What?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Nick. I'll let you finish.
I'm just saying I had lots of thoughts, but I have them all written here, and we'll just talk about them as they come up. It doesn't matter to me.
I'll go through them.
Okay,
let's
go
through your Nick picks.
My Nick picks. Okay, so it starts off with Rey on a desert planet. I assumed it was, yeah, the air's probably thin.
Which JJ did with the first trailer, right? Because we had
he did
the breathing in the desert. With,
thin.
Mm-hmm. He must be a fan of breathing.
Clearly, they're
maybe
related.
He's an SMR. Was it ASMR? Is that his thing? Right? Is it ASMR?
ASMR.
Isn't that the really?
Oh yeah, like it kind of brings about the just like that,
like
sound.
Sensual, like little sounds.
Yeah. I assumed it was Jakku, because it makes sense to bring it back there for her, as in bringing how Luke went back to Tatooine. It brought it full circle again.
Yeah.
But because it was a rocky terrain, and I know Matt talked about this with his kids, but then I did kind of start to think it was Tatooine, because you have you see a moisture farm there.
Mm-hmm.
You do know that it is rocky terrain from A New Hope, and they're also in a desert skiff with C-3PO and all that. And so I was like, this is probably an old remnant of the
Jabba.
Jabba, or just the that. Why am I forgetting? The Hutt territory.
Family.
Yeah. Because the other thing too is apparently Jakku is just littered with because that last battle or whatever is just littered with ships and stuff like that. And there was any type of debris from the great last battle of whatever.
True. Again,
so I like that thought. I like that thought, Nick.
But...
Good. I'm glad that
it's a big planet, lots of room for things, but
apparently it's just gigantic battle, and there's like just crap everywhere.
It's just a junk planet.
Go
ahead.
Yeah, I was surprised that no one's mentioned this. No one really. I'm sure someone has thought of it as I did, but you see the tag after that of every generation has its legend, which to me is just a nice echoing of the very first one we ever got for Phantom Menace, which was every saga has a beginning, and so now we're kind of bringing it full circle as well.
Yeah,
which I haven't heard many people talk about that. I was like, that's
a good call.
I did see an article about it, but I didn't.
Oh.
Sorry.
Well, so it's funny you mentioned that, because I rewatched the Phantom Menace trailer, because I remember I watched that trailer 10,000 times. Like I taped it off of TV and I watched it a billion times with my cousin, and we tried to dissect everything. But watching it again, it's always funny watching older trailers, because I was like, this is the most boring trailer in the history of trailers, because it's so slow and it's just so slowly paced compared to modern trailers that to me I was just like, man, this is really calm. But as a kid, or I wasn't a kid really, but much younger, it was I don't know. I don't know if anybody else has that feeling.
Yeah, because you were probably, that trailer came out in 98. So
98. I was 14 in 99. So
yeah. So
one aspect of that this trailer does have that I noticed with all of the trailers from this sequel trilogy, they all have a Luke voiceover.
Yeah.
So, each one that we've had has always had a Luke voiceover. So
even Force Awakens had a Luke voiceover.
Yeah. It said said something like that power is in you or something like that. Like my father had the
Oh, right.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
Yeah. And you have that power too, you know, and it kind of got you excited. Like, yeah. Okay. So Nick, what else you got?
Yeah. What else?
Well, we've already talked about the other things. So like is it Yavin 4 or possibly another moon of Endor and then Sith temples? I think we're going to get a lot of, or possibly, because you see with the reconstruction of his helmet, of Kylo's helmet, which was pretty neat. I think we're going to get two things, like a scavenger hunt, possibly with this. You see them approaching the Death Star, clearly looking for something, and I think we're going to get the same thing, because I've always heard that there's going to be some scenes on Mustafar with this movie. And we know from the Vader comic books that there's a reason why Vader built his palace on Mustafar. We've also seen from these comics, I'm not sure if you've read them, Jay. If you haven't, you should. That it is possible for Sith to have their
they're like souls attached to an
object. Yeah. Yep. And so I'm wondering if we're going to get this with Kylo going to Mustafar, like possibly him channeling an Anakin or a Vader, the same way as, will this be the same thing that happens when they get on the Death Star or whatnot? Because that's what I'll be interested in. Because I will be disappointed if it's going to be like a clone emperor or something like that. I would rather it be either a flashback or just a hologram or some kind of just an essence, but not an actual physical form.
Well,
okay.
Yeah, I just was going to mention that the actor said that he's dead. So the Emperor is dead. I'd read that just a little bit ago, or at least that's what Lucas always told him. Like, you know, and so, you know, of course, everything's kind of rewritten with Disney. But the episode 7, the Emperor was always planned, apparently, to be in episode 9. Apparently, when they were mapping out this trilogy, they had the plan of putting him in this.
Well, to me, I don't see why you couldn't. Like, if you have Force Ghost Jedis, there's no reason. There's some type of Sith equivalent. Maybe it's not the exact same, but there's some. And I've read about like them, you know, attaching their essences to objects and stuff like that. So, like, I feel like there's nothing wrong with having, you know,
well, they've always planned it too.
Force still around.
They were going to have Anakin's Force Ghost in The Force Awakens. That was going to call to Rey or something like that. In that snow battle. So I think they've kind of hinted around it. Even in the artwork of The Last Jedi, there was going to be a dark Force ghost talking to Luke as he was a hermit. So I think this is something they've definitely been building up to.
Yeah.
So I've always understood it that only a pure Jedi can become an actual Force ghost with, you know, living in the living Force. You know? Whereas in a Sith, because they're selfish and they're internal and they actually drain, you know, from the negativity so for like someone like Plagueis to gain immortality, you're draining energy from other living things instead of giving it. So it's not possible for a Sith to be within the living Force unless it's something like we were talking about, where you're actually like a Horcrux, to where you're
like a material object. Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's where I think to me, it's not necessarily the Sith have to also have a Force, because I agree because Qui-Gon's the first one that kind of figured out the whole being a Force ghost, right?
Right.
If I remember correctly. So yeah, like to me, like the Sith having some type of Sith equivalent to what these, you know, few Jedi have been able to accomplish. Because it's just Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Yoda, and I guess we can assume Luke that have accomplished that level of like Force oneness.
And from what I understand, the Qui-Gon could never fully materialize as a being. I guess it was just like kind of lights and a voice. You know?
Oh, really?
At least that's what they did with the Clone Wars season.
Okay. I just remember, like, because the Revenge of the Sith book was so much better than the movie, because then I think they elaborated more on the whole Qui-Gon reaching out to Yoda, which they kind of only slightly alluded to in the movie, but I always thought that was really cool.
Well, it was supposed to be in the movie as well, and I think one, they are already running long on time, and I think there was also problems getting the actor there,
Liam Neeson,
yeah, just to do this cameo / one scene. I think just scheduling conflicts.
He was busy with Love Actually, I think, at the time.
Yeah, probably makes total sense.
Yeah, and I mean, we can go into how they messed certain movies up, but
it's a classic.
It's a classic. So I've also heard that there is a MacGuffin kind of in this movie, that they are on a quest, or there is an adventure with something. My daughter had talked about how Rey has this bag in that scene when they're looking out at the Death Star. So specifically has something with her. I've also read some articles where people are speculating, which also ties in with the comics. I don't know how much they're going to draw from the comics. They kind of just let the comics do their own thing, and they never touch on it. But in Shattered Empire, which is the comic book that takes place immediately after Return of the Jedi, there is a force tree that Luke rescues, plants on Yavin, which Poe grows up around as a child. And so there's some people have speculated that maybe this tree will come back into place. I don't think so. I think that's just kind of conjecture.
Force tree.
I always kind of thought that because he grew up around this force tree made him a better pilot. So,
that's cool. Can I like say a childhood thought or understanding of Star Wars that I had? That's kind of funny.
No, it's not. We're moving on.
So as a kid, like the only Star Wars I had was the first movie that Jack taped off of HBO. And that was like my copy of it, or it was really his copy. So then we watched it. I think I was 5, and he talked about the Force. But, me being a kid and not really understanding what the Force was, but I heard of forests, I thought the Force was a forest. And then there was just this forest that gave people powers.
Nice.
So, when I saw like just clips of Return of the Jedi and they're in the Force, it's like, oh my God, they went to the forest.
It all comes full circle.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, that's an amazing conclusion.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah, not until much later when I finally saw them and could understand words better.
So it must have just been on this show, Jay, but I've actually talked about that as well. How my sister stole it from me years ago, and I need to steal it back from her. But same thing. Dad recorded the very first TV airing of Star Wars. It came out in 1983, before Return of the Jedi came out. And so it's all with all the commercials and everything, and like you have like the cast like coming in and talking in between the commercial breaks.
Cool.
And it's just really neat. And but I remember all the commercials too, because they were, it was when NutraSweet had just come out, and they were sending like these gumballs to like everybody to say that, oh, look, this artificial sweetener's not hazardous to you, and there was a kids playing baseball, and like this one kid was giving out M&Ms to everybody but the green ones, and they're like, why don't you get the green ones? He's like, because these are my home run M&Ms, it's like each one meant he was going to hit something, like, this is for a single, this one's for a double, and it's just like, that's just crazy. I mean, it's 30 years ago.
I remember that commercial. It would be nice if they came out with one where that kid's older, and he's like dating,
and he has diabetes.
Oh, he has diabetes. No, you went there. I was thinking like he's like out on a date, and he's like the green.
Oh, okay. Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Sorry, I went in a totally different direction. So one other thing I wanted to point out and mention, because I didn't catch this the first time. I thought it was an A-wing. Saw it on.
No, it's not. No.
Saw it on another Instagram post. Had to share it on our Owen and Beru's Instagram feed. But the spaceship flying into the blue world, which kind of reminded me of the Gungan City, actually.
Yeah, me too.
Underwater, yeah. But that spaceship,
Ray's parents are Jar Jar Binks.
Ray's parents are Jar Jar Binks. All connected, guys. It's coming back to episode 1.
George was setting us up. He was telling us by saying it's his favorite character.
Right? So anyway, somebody smashed those two images together of Ray's parents flying away, that spaceship and that spaceship flying to the blue world. seem to be the same. So clearly we are getting a little bit more of that. I know JJ had mentioned that. So
yeah, because I remember the first breakdown of the trailer I read, and people were like, "Oh, an A-wing's in this thing, and an A-wing's in this thing," and I remember like, it looks a little too big to be an A-wing. Just the back quarters of it is all you see is just the engines. I was like, because the A-wing is a very small fighter, so that's when And then I was glad though when you posted that though, because it kind of like, oh, see, it's not an A-wing,
or like maybe like it was an old A-wing that's been like kind of kit bashed to kind of keep running.
Sure,
that's what I thought at first, but then I was like, oh wow. No, that isn't. Wow, that's right.
I think I just made the connection because I saw the A-wing crashing. It made me, like actually second guess myself. I had to like go back and watch the second A-wing to confirm. Yeah, that one is an A-wing because you can see the open part in the fin area of the ship, and your mind just kind of throws the other one, in the same classification. At least a couple other things to at least note about the trailer that we hadn't spoke about. Leia, we see her with one of the medals.
Yes, that was another scene. I was like, what?
Yeah, clearly that's
another reason for it being on Yavin. They had one of the old medals.
Exactly. I started to say that. Yeah, like maybe they found it on the floor. It was the one that she forgot to give Chewbacca.
So is that the MacGuffin?
It's the MacGuffin.
Yeah,
it's
that medal.
The quest for Chewbacca's medal. That's a much better title.
I think that would have been a better title.
Yeah, Star Wars: The Quest for Chewbacca.
Now they have said
it's like I had it and I couldn't find it, and this thing was going on. Everyone was lined up, and I was like, I just got to improv. We'll just say he doesn't get one right now.
Yeah, and that's why they're hugging. That's why they're crying because they found it, and they're like, Chewbacca, here it is. And he's like,
I like to think that it's Wedge's medal, and
that's true. Wedge is the unsung hero of the rebellion for sure.
At least he survived that.
He's the only one that survived all three.
Yeah, and that's the medal scene though at the end of episode 4. I always laugh more at R2-D2 than I do Chewbacca howling at the end for not getting his medal. It's because R2-D2 is one over there like rocking back and forth, and I know he's saying some cuss words right there. That's why I see him like pat him down because he's like, I got shot and I did nothing. I took a bullet for you, kid.
Who would have been doing your navigation, Luke? Like, who saved your butt over and over again?
You know how many movies they've been telling me just to hang on, and I hang on?
You're just like your father. Because R2's memory's not wiped, right? So he's aware of everything.
I feel like they've shelved R2 like throughout these all. I mean, we're getting another droid Dio in this movie. It's like, come on, can we just give R2 another cool trick to do? Like oh, by the way, R2's dome comes off and he's got.
I liked BB-8, but I was like, well, Lucas has always said though the story is being told from R2 and C-3PO's point of view, so it makes no sense for them to kind of be written out of these new prequels. I mean, they're not written out of it, but they're definitely not a major role.
Well, C-3PO is definitely in it.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he's like on the skiff rocking, and I'm like, all right, Anthony Daniels.
He was very energetic during the celebration panel leading up to it, so I thought he came out like, these are my people.
Give another classic Jay and Jack Network, stamp of jerk approval. I hear he's a jerk in real life.
I have heard that as well.
That's you guys. I'm going to defend him. So I've only met Anthony Daniels. I've met him 3 times. All 3 times I've met him, he's been the nicest guy in the world.
Interesting.
The first time I met him was in 2007. I think I've told the story, like maybe one of our very first Owen and Beru's. They came after one of the celebrations. So it was the 20th anniversary of Star Wars, or 30th, sorry. And they came to Knoxville, and like no one was there. It's a small town, and I got there early because I was expecting like Lando was going to be there, and Anthony Daniels, and David Prowse, and all these people. And so I walk up, and I'm literally the only person there just to talk to Anthony Daniels. And I walk up, and he signs my thing, and then he kind of just keeps looking at me. He goes, "Well, do you want to sit here and talk?" I was like, "Okay, sure." So we're just in there talking, about whatever, about where's a good place to eat, and things. And then finally he goes, "Is there anything you'd like to know, about Star Wars? Like just something?" And I said, "Tell me something you don't normally tell people, like just some random story that that's like somebody probably would want to know this." And I think I had to tell Matt this. So he tells me, he goes, "Well, in the New Hope, Lucas at the time wanted everything to be accurate, everything extremely accurate. So he goes, in the oil bath scene, he goes, that's real oil.
Oh,
and
wow.
he goes, it's dyed green vegetable oil is what it is.
Huh.
And he goes, now I'm in this suit. He goes, and they lower me down into it. And he goes, and now if you've never had oil on your nether regions, it's not fun. You know? He goes, now if you look, when I'm being raised out of it, you know, it cuts to Luke, and Luke's got his little toy there that he's playing with. If you look at me instead of looking at Luke, he goes, you'll see that I have a rag in my hand now, and I'm rubbing my nether regions to suck up the oil. So that's how I always remember him. You know, telling me that story.
That's better, because I thought he was going to say like that he was friends with Michael Jackson, but
and then I brought my 2007 the post office put out Star Wars stamps. If you guys remember those.
Oh yes, mm-hmm.
And at Celebration in 2015, I brought those with me, and I got him to sign, and he was the only one that was like really like, oh my God, the stamps! You know, like I haven't seen these in so long. You know, and I can't do it next day, but like he was being, like, and he's like, this is so neat, because like, I don't think anyone ever asked him to sign the stamps before. So I've got everyone that's there. I've got them signed on their stamp. So you know, Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, Kylo. I mean, not Kylo.
Kylo.
Darth Maul. You know, everybody.
So ahead of your time.
Yeah. The Emperor.
Yeah.
I mean, as you know, the only thing that's sad is that Kenny Baker that day had gone home sick, and then he died a few minutes later. So I didn't get Kenny Baker. I got everybody else.
Huh.
Nice.
Well, is there anything else that we should mention about the?
I love the meme of Donald Glover as Lando saying,
"Oh yeah,
I'm gonna get my shit back," and then
over my dead body.
Yeah, exactly, over my dead body.
Yeah,
and then it's just like, ha ha.
That's something else. I'll be curious because of Solo, and now that Lando is going to be back in it, will we get some kind of L3?
Yeah,
huh.
I feel like there should be.
That'd be interesting.
But does he like hug it in a weird way, like, I'm back. I'm back, baby.
Yeah, he's trying to find that port that R2 always uses.
Yeah, exactly.
So one thing to note about Lando is he's actually the only other person that we hear, and we hear the Emperor's cackle and we hear Lando's laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the cackle actually was stored. It was not new audio. It was.
Oh, really? Okay.
It was archived. It was archived. Yeah, it's episode 3 archived audio.
Nice.
Okay.
Because he said that the other day. I remember reading it. So I think the only new audio was probably Lando.
Well, plus
and Luke's
voiceover.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Rey's breathing.
Yeah, let's not forget about Rey's breathing. Yeah, some creepy fan out there.
That's what it was.
Yeah, and Luke's audio.
Slow it down. Rewind.
Luke's audio was brand new, and so we can only assume that we're going to see Luke. I saw a crazy fan theory out there that we're going to get dark clone Luke, which would pull from Legends material now.
Mm-hmm. Because I think in the first Force Awakens, the first shot was actually going to be Luke's hand falling in Cloud City or whatever. And so the thought was, if they're showing that hand, I guess you could, because that's how he made the clone in the books, right?
Right.
Didn't he use his hand or something?
Yeah, they used the hand and cloned Luke in the Heir to the Empire series. So there's a clone of Luke. So
but I think there's not enough time to really pull that off.
Yeah, it seems. I mean, of course, there's also been rumors that this movie's going to be 4 hours long. So there goes. There goes family fun night. Hey, let's watch this one. Well,
here's the thing: if it's 4 hours, do you split it up? Do you put a pee break in the middle? Because I feel like even at the Avengers Endgame's 3 hours, okay, you need a pee break in the middle.
Yeah, and that's intermission. Just do it. Gone with the Wind had intermission.
I think Braveheart is the last film that had an intermission.
Just do it.
And they should, because I know that a lot of people in the producers of Endgame said that, it's at 3 hours, we should probably have intermission, and then someone shot it down. I said no, and then even the director said this is a movie that you're not going to be able to get up and pee, even though you might have to. Said if you get up,
why not put the intermission in there?
It just doesn't. I It just doesn't make sense.
Plus, I mean, you would think the theaters will want that because more people going out to like buy extra popcorn and crap.
Exactly. You got to get a refill. You got to get your refill. You're there with your kids. They're like, I want some
go to the lobby. But if it's 4 hours, like because I saw, I think JJ said it could be like then 4 hours, you got to break that up. 2 hours break, 2 hours.
Yeah. Or at least, narrow it down and then give me the director's cut on DVD when it comes out or Blu-ray. We're all going to buy it anyway. So, give me the direct. They've never done that with the Star Wars movie.
Well, you're going to buy DVDs now that it's all on Disney Plus.
Right. That's true. But I still do. I still buy them.
I mean, again, when the internet goes down, you got to have something to watch.
That's true. That is true. Or you're in that rainy cabin all by yourself.
Just light a candle, put on a record.
Put it on record. I'm trying to think of anything else that we've missed talking about. We talked about the crazy theory. Oh, the other crazy theory that Rey is a clone of Luke. So that she would be a Skywalker.
I guess, can that be the one thing that, or if saying Rise of Skywalker, that I think a lot of people, because one of the things I liked about Last Jedi is it said, you're not anybody, like you're just somebody. Like I liked how they liberated the Force in The Last Jedi. And so I'll be a little like, okay. I mean, it's not going to ruin it for me, but I'll be a little bummed if it's back to just like. But if this is the end of the Skywalker saga, then it
exactly.
can't.
Yes, well, and I wanted to at least mention that is that it has been said that this is the end of the Skywalker saga, which is crazy that they would name it Rise of the Skywalker, the Rise of Skywalker, which is like sending me mixed messages here.
Yeah.
And Kathleen Kennedy has also alluded to that we could see more of these characters again.
Right.
So, which, spoiler, they live. Great. Now I don't have to go see this movie.
Another Disney Plus, the K2SO and casting adventures. I'm totally pumped for that.
Yeah.
But, sorry, Nick. You were saying
I was saying, let me pose a question. Because Disney can do whatever they want. But Lucas has always said that Anakin was the chosen one. I mean, he said that. Mm-hmm. Now, they're kind of setting it up in a way, though, that Rey could be the chosen one. Because as of now, she has no parents. And, she's so far been flawless in the use of the Force. What would you think if all of a sudden it's just been shown that, because now that Luke was the last Jedi, there's been no Sith, really. There is balance now because Snoke said he was not a Sith. He's just a dark Force user. So you could make the argument that Rey is the chosen one if they wanted to go that route.
Well, to me, like I always thought Anakin as the chosen one was the one to bring balance to the Force, which he did by killing younglings. But listen, I gotta kill all you kids because my wife might die of sadness.
It's a messed up world, but I gotta do it.
You're going where I can't follow, Anakin. I'm gonna die now.
I love the Jimmy Fallon one's the best. Did you guys ever see that sketch? Came out like right after the movie came out, and you see Jimmy Fallon is Anakin in that scene at the end, and then Obi-Wan jumps up, and Jimmy Fallon's like, Obi-Wan, I see you're here, and you got barbecue sauce on my favorite robe. And he's like, you have done that yourself. He's like, it's so good.
Oh man.
That's good. But anyways, where were we? I forgot where we were.
I was just wrapping up the show. I think it's great that we talked about some barbecue sauce on Anakin.
Yeah, good.
Considering this is Owen and Brew's barbecue.
Oh, the chosen one. Okay, that's right. I'm sorry. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, like, I won't mind if she is not necessarily maybe the chosen one, but now that there's balance of the Force, how does it go forward? And she's a part of what goes, like, because I feel like the Force, if it is this all, like, if it can create itself or create a person manifestation of itself, there's something to carry it on,
because there has to be, like, if this is truly the end of this saga, there has to be some kind of balance. And you see that in Luke in the last film, saying that he learned that no matter what he does, there's always going to be a counter to what he's doing, and that has to end. So you can't just leave it to where Rey is a Jedi or something like that, because there's going to be a counter. So you have to, even though I think they're now Legends too, aren't they? The Dawn of the Jedi comics, which I really enjoyed. Yeah, that's what they talk about. How that there was this planet where all the force sensitive beings were brought to, and there was 2 moons, one light, one dark. And like that was the whole point. It was that you had to walk this line of using both, in which we are now calling a gray Jedi. And if you skewed from it, you were banished to one of those planets. And
they now just to tag onto that, they did mention, or there has been allusions that they're talking about doing the Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh yeah. Yeah, which I would really look forward to. That's some cool stories.
I think a lot of people are really excited about that. So, I don't know if that's the next movie series that they're going to do, or if they're going to try to spin this into a TV show. I don't care. Just give it to us.
Well, I love what Disney Plus can offer, because being able to tell a story over 10 hours,
yes,
you could really benefit something that has a lot to tell.
And I personally as a podcaster, I mean, that's great news that it's not going to be a binge show, because, we could theoretically talk or analyze this.
And really break it down. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, just like Game of Thrones, I mean, there's enjoyment in getting that little nugget, and, you kind of look forward to it. You're like, oh, today's Sunday, I'm getting the new thing. So I get to.
God, and Disney's playing that well, because Game of Thrones is over, and now you got a new sci-fi fantasy thing on the streets, because Prime is having their Lord of the Rings,
right?
Yeah,
but I didn't even think about in this post Game of. I mean, again, I know they're doing the prequel Game of Thrones, but still, there's space for some big sci-fi. So that's cool.
But I mean, Game of Thrones has got a prequel series coming too.
Yeah, that's gonna suck.
The Long Night. You don't know. Could be good.
I know.
It's going to be an 8-hour long night. Before we make this evening any longer, just to cap this off, perhaps we will just actually see Rey walk on sky. So, and that's the Rise of the Skywalker. So, all right, that was bad. We should have ended it with the barbecue. Yeah, that's going to be a Jack joke.
Yeah, that's a Jack joke.
All right, hopefully Colleen cuts that part out.
My Jack joke. Nick, did you have a Jack joke today?
I did not. I don't really make Jack jokes.
That's true.
Wow.
Spanos.
Let's not even go there. At this time, I'd like to talk about a few things, such as the fact that we are on the Jay and Jack Network. So this is a Jay and Jack podcast. You can help and support us out by going to jayandjack.com or /Amazon. Sorry, I did put that /Amazon in there. Get all your Star Wars shopping needs, so including barbecue sauce or one of those fancy little apron bibs that says.
We need to make our own barbecue sauce and sell it.
I mean, nothing goes well over Ewok mystery meat like a good barbecue sauce.
This mystery meat has lasted us a long time. We've been a little bit chewy tonight. So, oh, sorry. These dad jokes are getting bad. Before we lose any more patrons, you could become a patron by going to jayandjack.com. Click on the patron link there. But there are some special patrons that make this possible, and we always like to thank them at the end of the show. Tack from Tokyo, Eckhart Richter, Maggie the Magnificent, Joanne with the Plan, Ed the Letter Carrier, and the great, the one and only Drake. Thank you for all that you do for making these podcasts happen. Keeps the lights on and the podcasts rolling. So, guys, what about you? Any last thoughts there?
No, just pumped for the Star Wars.
Bring on the Star Wars.
Give me the Star Wars.
All right. I guess on that note, great show, guys. 1 in a million. And by the way, thank you, Jay, for joining us. Nick. Couldn't have done it without you. So, boom. Let's blow this thing up.
Let's blow